So one of my students sent me this video of two instructors demonstrating how to do a standing arm triangle off of a haymaker in a street fight situation. And he was a little skeptical about it and pretty much asked me, is this legit? Could this work? Well, let's find out. First things first, like the arm triangle itself, can you, in the open like this, actually finish the arm triangle, right? And again, for those that are unfamiliar, arm triangle is getting the arm, like bicep pretty much touching the ear. I'm cutting off the connection on the other side of the neck, keeping my ear to ear type pressure, squeezing. Now that's probably tight and I can still get a tap from it, right? But now if you're fighting this, resisting this from a standing position, especially if he's taller than me, it's gonna be very difficult for me to be able to successfully do this compared to when we get to the ground, which we'll show you at the end. Not something that I would necessarily be able to finish from up here. One thing that I've done in the past that I could do, especially if it's a person a little bit taller, I'm actually going to kind of step through and drive my hip into him a little bit. Not necessarily take him down. If we end up going to the ground, that's fine. But now I'm gonna lock here, squeeze, and I may still be able to get the tap or the choke per se, but it's probably just really tight, right? Yeah, so it's gonna be tight as shit. So yeah, like you can put a lot of pressure, not necessarily gonna put you to sleep. Now the question of where my student was a little bit more skeptical was off of the entry point, right? The haymaker, guy shows the haymaker, he kind of like ducks under, comes up, and drives into this position. Now in the video per se, he also kind of went up against a wall, which may or may not add a little bit of pressure. I actually wouldn't like doing this necessarily up against a wall because it also gives this guy leverage to be able to use this wall and his hips, and he's able to kind of scoot and create angles a little bit more effectively. So I also not only have to be good at controlling the choke grip, but I also have to be good at controlling their body position up against the wall. Off of a haymaker, typically I'm not going to like try and duck under haymaker and come up. Typically if someone throws a haymaker, like I'm crashing into it a little bit or I'm kind of checking it, but either way I'm looking to close the distance, because if I'm in, I don't have to worry about the punch. From here I can look to tie up. We can go in this type of situation. Now I would much rather hit the arm triangle from a position like this. If I'm tied up right here, right, because I know he's gonna start grip fighting with me, maybe I can start fighting for the underhook. I've already got kind of like a collar tie position. If I'm able to work towards like inner C grip towards the underhook, I can literally pop and duck under and get here. And now I can look to lock up the choke from this type of position. And again though, I'm not necessarily gonna be able to finish it from here, which again, we'll get to here in a second, but that would be a better entry point. Another option would be more so if we're kind of in this position where we're kind of throwing strikes and we're kind of getting hands-on a little bit, like I might be able to, if I feel him go to throw that punch, duck under or kind of clear it and get out of the way and then just blast into him. But I have to kind of be in range where I can close that gap right away. Me being out here where he throws a haymaker, like it's gonna be very difficult for me to be able to duck and get in close. The other option again would be if we're already in some form of clinch fighting situation like we've just kind of demonstrated, again, get to a position where I can duck under and then I have to essentially blast up very quickly, lock my grip, and get from here. Now, the finishing portion of this. I don't, again, as we demonstrated, find this to be an extremely effective way to finish the arm triangle. I would much rather finish it from the ground. But let's talk about circumstances, right? I'm not worried about him punching me in the back of the head, which was what one of the questions was, because it's not really like a good way for him to hit me. And if I'm constantly moving like this, it's gonna be difficult for him to land a good hit to the head. To the ribs though, like if I don't have the pressure to choke, now if I'm able to put like a choking pressure and I've got that locked, he's not gonna be focused on hitting me, he's gonna be focused on the grip. If I'm just squeezing and there's no choking pressure, it's just tight, he's gonna wail on me with those ribs. I'm also, again, if we're talking street, right, I can't see what his hand's doing. My back is essentially to him. If he has a weapon or whatever and he grabs it out, I'm in trouble and I'm not gonna realize it till, oh shit, he's stabbing me, shooting me, whatever, and now I have to disengage, and that's a whole different circumstance. So this is something that I don't want to hang out here with, but I can use this as a way to take somebody down, and it's actually a really nice way to take someone down. You do have options with it. Again, if I go kind of base off this hip motion, I can literally just kind of sweep him and bring him straight down to the ground from here and actually finish this as an arm triangle on the ground. That's one way to take him down. Again, other ways I can simply just literally drag him down from here. So I got this pressure, I can step back and just start kind of dragging him, and again, secure him all the way down to the ground from here. Now, as great as this is to take them down, again, it's not necessarily, if we're talking like streetwise, not necessarily the best choke to apply to someone, strictly for the reason that, again, I cannot see what the hand is doing. Now, if he did have a weapon or whatever and he didn't have a chance to utilize it when we were standing because I was ripping him down, he's definitely gonna have the opportunity now if I'm just hanging out here. Now, like finishing mechanics of the choke, right? I can squeeze, I go ear to ear. I can also turn and kind of tuck my chin on the top of his eye a little bit. I get back on my hips, I squeeze, and I can easily kind of get the finish from there where I could technically put him to sleep. But if he's able to defend this even just a little bit, right? If he's able to either chop that arm down or answer the phone, that could be the time that he needs to be able to draw a weapon and do what he wants to do. So I have to be able to lock that in right away, or else it's useless. Instead, what I would rather do from here is one of two things. Either use this position immediately, you know, we take him down, I pressure in, and right away I come up into mount and just kind of secure this position to where, yeah, even from mount, I can sit here and I can get the finish from the choke from there, but I'm also preventing him from drawing a weapon because my hips are in the way. So I've prevented that. I'm not, again, as worried. Like, he can punch me all he wants from there. It's not gonna do as much damage compared to me being able to kind of pressure him out from this position. Both ways, whether it's from the side or from here, what I would actually tend to do if we're talking 100% street situation, maybe you're a cop, I'm gonna use this pressure to get him to turn to where I can now turn this into like a gift wrap position, right? And now I can kind of come up into some form of technical mount to where now I'm in a better position. Again, I've got my leg position to where he can't draw weapons. I'm in a good spot. I can easily pin this arm if I need to, if he's getting handsy, whatever reason, and I'm pulling up on this gift wrap to where he's in a good spot that he just essentially really can't do much from here. So if I'm utilizing the arm triangle from standing, I would use it to take him down and get to this position. So again, one more time from the top. If we're doing this off of like a haymaker situation, right? Like maybe we're already trading punches, he throws a haymaker, I crash in, we tie up a little bit, I get to a good position. I'm gonna have to, again, we're gonna be grip fighting, right? I have to get one arm to a collar tied position, other hand to some form of a C-grip position, look to get underneath the elbow, duck under, we get up here. Right away, I lock it in, I apply pressure, especially if the person's taller than me. I have to off balance them a little bit, start bringing them down, bring them all the way down to this position. Either from here, I turn into him and right away wrap this up into gift wrap, or we come all the way up into mount, switch to technical mount, again, back to the gift wrap position, and now I'm in the spot that I can completely control him, and we go from there. So is a standing arm triangle effective? To the extent that I can use it to control somebody and take them down to the ground and just control them from there, 100%. But to utilize an arm triangle and actually get them to go to sleep or get them to really tap from a standing position, it's too risky, it's too difficult to do, and yeah, not something that I would recommend. So train properly, test it out, pressure test it, you'll figure it out. Stay safe.